Warning the fight to beat the pandemic is far from over. The changes the Biden administration is considering to some of the COVID rules right now.
Plus, those who can't shake COVID, the virus radically changing their lives months and months later. This morning, we're taking you to a COVID long haulers clinic in South Florida where interesting and important work is underway to help these rare patients.
Plus, folks on the Treasure Coast dealing with trash delays for months now. The complaints from Port St. Lucie residents and the city meeting ahead today to address it.
You're watching CBS 12 News This Morning.
Hey there, hope you had a great weekend, everybody. I'm Matt Lincoln.
I'm Ashley Glass. It is a Monday, and right now there are flooding concerns in Palm Beach County.
Yes, let's go over to meteorologist Lauren Oleski with the latest on that.
Good morning. We've had some downpours across portions of the area this weekend. It led to some flood advisories that got issued today. Probably one more day that will deal with the threat for some flooding outside. You see this spin off the coast of Jacksonville right there? We've got this low pressure. This is the same area that the National Hurricane Center has been monitoring. We're going to talk about it in my next update. But winds out of the south pulling more heat and humidity back into the area for us today. So the Weather Prediction Center still putting parts of the state under the possibility of some flooding. Mostly, though, for the west side of the state. That's because we're going to see more of a southeast wind across the area today. However, there is still a flood watch that's in effect for eastern Palm Beach County until 8 o'clock tonight. That's from 441 east. So we will see the possibility of maybe a few flood advisories getting issued later on, similar to what we saw at times throughout the weekend. Skies for the morning are partly cloudy to mostly sunny. And then some of that isolated rainfall will be moving on shore later today. We'll see some lightning and likely a few heavy downpours outside later on too. Matt, Ashley.
All right, Lauren, thanks. Let's take a look right now on our roads here, on-time traffic. And this is in Fort Pierce. We see no problems there on I-95 or the Turnpike. Our traffic tracker also rolling on the road this morning. Gary seeing no problems here as he drives northbound Australian Avenue in West Palm Beach. 6:01 now the time. And this morning, one of the nation's top infectious disease experts is warning the U.S. is moving in the wrong direction in the fight against the coronavirus.
Cases are on the rise across the country because the highly contagious Delta variant. Take a look here. Right now, Florida's the country's biggest COVID hotspot with more cases than, get this, California, Texas, New York, and Illinois combined. Just last week, the state reported its highest number of cases since January. And now with this new surge, the Biden administration is considering changes.
Yeah, Sam is joining us now from the COVID Alert Desk on the alarming trends we are seeing. Sam, what CDC guidance is the administration looking to possibly update here?
Well, they're looking at the possibility of revising mask recommendations for people who are fully vaccinated. Right now, the Delta variant makes up over 80% of cases in the U.S., and that has top health officials weighing whether vaccinated people should start wearing masks again inside. Now, a spokesperson for the CDC says at this point they have no plans of changing their mask guidance, but Dr. Anthony Fauci says he is frustrated by this COVID-19 summer surge, which is being driven by the more contagious Delta variant and a slowdown in vaccination rates. He says updating masking recommendations is under active consideration, but he's also emphasizing that local governments can issue their own rules if necessary.
The local officials have the discretion, and the CDC agrees with that ability and discretion capability to say, you know, you're in a situation where we're having a lot of dynamics of infection, so even if you are vaccinated, you should wear a mask. That's a local decision.
Palm Beach County Mayor Dave Kerner says if the Department of Health believes it's time to enforce new regulations, it would require a conversation with state officials in Tallahassee. That's because earlier this year, Governor DeSantis passed legislation invalidating local emergency orders, including mask mandates. White House officials have repeatedly said it will be up to the CDC whether to change the official guidance on masks. In the meantime, they're also discussing whether some vaccinated people may need booster shots. Coming up in 30 minutes, I'll tell you which group of people health officials say may need to get a booster shot first. Matt?
And Sam, nowhere is the mask debate more fierce than in our schools. Right now, about 2 weeks from the first day, masks are optional at all districts in our area. However, the American Academy of Pediatrics is recommending that children 2 and older wear face masks when they return to class, even if they have been vaccinated. Right now, about 1/3 of 16 to 17-year-olds and only 1/4 of 12 to 15-year-olds nationwide are fully vaccinated. Less than half the population in 16 states have received at least one dose of the vaccine.
And one mysterious facet of COVID is the so-called long haulers, patients experiencing symptoms weeks, even months after they initially recover from an infection. And now there's a one-of-a-kind clinic in South Florida studying and treating these patients. Memorial Healthcare's Long Haulers Clinic in Pembroke Pines. They also have a residency program teaching a new generation of doctors, not just about medicine during a pandemic, but this unique aspect of COVID. Samir Rawat came here from India to take part in the program.
Maybe we'll discover new things associated with this disease. So I believe that's my motivation, trying to see like the new things that arise from the COVID-19 long hauler infections and study more about it. I believe what I want to learn the most from them is to be better prepared for the next pandemic if it ever happens.
The doctor in charge of the clinic tells me the education these young doctors are getting is as important as the treatment they're providing patients. And some of the things we learned about their work are really surprising. We're going to talk about that, plus a really eye-opening interview with a COVID long hauler named Claudia. She only had a mild case of COVID last year, and now, months and months later, these long haul symptoms have made her life almost unrecognizable. It's a wild story. It's coming up in 30 minutes.
Lots of important work that they're doing right there. Thanks, Ash. All right, now to a live look in Tokyo this morning where the Olympics begins first full week. Despite more new COVID cases there, they have more than 1,700 cases reported in the city yesterday. That's about 700 more than we saw in the previous week. So far, nearly 140 of the new cases reported are linked to the Summer Olympics. The games are running until August 8th. And this morning, golf taking a big hit in Tokyo. USA's Bryson DeChambeau and Spain's Jon Rahm tested positive for COVID-19. They will no longer tee it up this week. And now Patrick Reed will be added to the Team USA Olympic roster while Rahm will not be replaced.
It's 6:06 and a big win for Florida. Court ruled cruises will not be required to follow CDC COVID sailing guidelines. It reversed its decision to allow the government to implement regulations for the cruise industry. So in our next half hour, Kara Duffy will have a deeper look at this legal battle.
This morning, the state is facing a lawsuit over unemployment benefits. A group of attorneys are pushing the state to restore $300 weekly checks. The suit names several people who say they've suffered financial hardships during the pandemic. Last month, Florida ended benefits with the hopes of getting more people back to work.
This weekend, the Bal Harbour community held a memorial concert for the nearly 100 victims of the Champlain Tower South collapse. The South Florida Symphony Orchestra played music, read the names of the victims. I want you to take a listen.
Antonio Lozano, Gladys Lozano.
CBS 12 News talked to some of the people there. They say they just want to bring some peace to all the grieving families.
Community groups are just trying to find ways to show the people here that, we're supporting them, we're with them.
We are brothers and sisters, no division. We love each other.
Search and rescue crews already ended their search for victims at the site. One person is yet to be identified. And right now, scientists are working to examine debris at the nearby warehouse to figure out what caused this building to collapse.
Well, 6:07, residents of a condo building in Coral Gables have until today to evacuate after the building was deemed unsafe over the weekend. But some are hoping some recent repairs will keep the city from forcing them out. The Homeowners Association worked with an engineer over the past week to fix the structural concerns. They say all things that needed to be fixed have been, and now residents are hoping with those corrections they've made, the city will allow them to stay.
6:08 now. This morning, Crestview Tower residents will be able to schedule appointments to go back inside their building, get any belongings left behind. See, they had to evacuate the 10-story building in North Miami earlier this month after an engineer said the building was structurally and electrically unsafe. Right now, the condo association's working with the city to map out a plan for all the repairs, and only 2 people are allowed in each day to grab their stuff.
Well, the Treasure Coast is dealing with a big trash problem. Thousands of complaints about delayed or missed pickups in Port St. Lucie since the beginning of the pandemic. The city is meeting today to discuss some possible changes to hopefully toss the problem out. Terry Hornstein live in Port St. Lucie this morning. All right, Terry, what's the lowdown? What's happening today?
Hey, Matt, take a look here. This is the issue we're talking about. Big piles of trash just lining the streets here, sometimes not picked up for days or weeks. And the problem, it's just too big. It doesn't fit in a normal sized garbage bin like this one. And the city contractor here, Waste Pro, basically can't do its job because they have too few employees and the city is growing at such a rapid pace. Well, the city of Port St. Lucie has always had a haul all plan, meaning garbage collectors would pick up any type of trash. But if today's ordinance is approved, that will no longer be the case. City officials say people are leaving these big chunks of trash outside, like construction materials, move out furniture, and it's filling up the trucks and taking just too long for the workers to haul. That's left a lot of the residents here frustrated.
They haven't been picking up as much and it's been slow. All that stuff is just piling up and piling up.
People are staying home due to the pandemic and they're generating more household trash.
So today the city council will discuss the types of trash neighbors will be able to leave outside for collection and what to do with other waste that Waste Pro just can't collect. They will also discuss enforcing violations and penalties if people don't abide by these new rules. Now, the city says these are short-term solutions for the problem, and they're just really asking the residents here in Port St. Lucie for patience. So the meeting here today with the city council gets started at 6:30 p.m. and of course, we'll let you know what they decide. Matt and Ashley?
All right, we'll see what happens. Still ahead, a well-known doctor in Jacksonville just lost his life in an accident in our local waters. We'll tell you what happened and the impact he had all throughout the pandemic.
And a man's hopes burst of trying to float from Florida to New York in a bubble where he washed up that was nowhere near the Big Apple. That's coming up next.